Hey guys, thank you for taking the time to watch this. I really appreciate you being here. And it's been a while since I put my last video up, and that was intentional. I was back testing and implicating and putting a lot of new things in place, and we're going to talk about what's in place for the offense. And um, I've gotten it to a very good, successful win rate, and I want to pass this curriculum and knowledge on to you. So here we go. Behind the scenes, we've been building, the system out, refining it, and really focusing on how the market actually behaves in real time. What started as an indicator-based system, has now evolved into something, more complete, very complete. We've integrated candle behavior, we've integrated structure, and we've aligned with the indicators instead of relying on them alone. Because indicators by themselves, they just don't tell the whole story. So what matters is how price moves, how it reacts, and whether that moment is actually being supported. And that's where structure comes in. Structure is really important. Candles are very important too, as long as the indicators. I may have underemphasized them a little bit in the first 13 videos, but those are really defense, and you're going to see how important in this video, how that curriculum in those 13 videos can really get your offense consistent. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. So structure is what gives us targets. It gives us direction, and it gives us a framework to understand whether a move is real or just temporary noise. And by combining candle behavior, structure, and indicator alignment, we've been able to produce a consistent 65 to 70% win rate. And that's not based on prediction. That's not based on taking everything. It's based statistically, and if you guys want, let me know. I'll go ahead and show you in my screenshots for the last month what the success rate is, how much I've gotten. It's about $1,230, $1,240 over the last month. Of course, remember I'm trading at night, so things are a little tougher. I don't have multiple situations every day. It's very hard for me to stay up sometimes to catch these moves because I work so early in the morning. So basically, guys, that comes from discipline, from filtering out low quality setups and only participating when the market actually meets our conditions. I've taken a $400 account and built it to $2,000 5 times now. That's my back testing. I now have $327 in cash on there, and I'm going to show you how you can build an account at plus 500 with my system with very heavy contracts and still maintaining a good risk to reward ratio. So because once you remove the noise, you don't need to win every trade. You just need to win the right trades consistently and know how to hold them when it comes to trading too as well, and when they're going to go through, when they're going to break, when they're not, when the continuation leg is there, and when the regime change comes to get out. This isn't a 90% system, and it doesn't need to be. With 65 to 70% ratio and a good risk reward, it'll be extremely profitable. So, and that's this video is really about, guys. So not just taking trades, but understanding what qualifies and why. So today we're starting the offense side of PBSS. But before we talk about entries, before we talk about execution, we need to understand what offense actually means, what playbook you're in, what the market playbook is, and you'll see in just a little bit, because there's 2 different sides of the market, 5 different sides, and you really got to know where you're at and what the market is actually giving you at the moment. If you don't, you're going there blind, and you will get stopped out, and you will just trash your account immediately. So when people hear the word offense in trading, they think, it means action, more trades, more opportunities, and more aggression. But that's not what this is. Offense inside this system is actually built on restrictions, and that's why those first 13 defensive videos are so very important. It's the ability to look at the market, see the movement, see the candles forming, and see price shifting, and consistently decide, well, this doesn't qualify. And you'll see when you say this doesn't qualify, because you'll be like, oh wow, I would have just gotten that, I would have lost like $30, $40. That could have really hurt me. Okay, because the truth is, the market is always doing something, guys, but it's not always doing something tradable. You really have to get that concept down. Once again, it comes down to, you don't go to the market has to come to you, prove itself to you. You keep that, that's powerful. That will help your discipline, your patience. Most traders don't lose because they can't read a chart. They lose because they treat every movement as an opportunity. And believe me, I did that. And it costed me a couple accounts, yeah. They see why a candle. They see a candle and they see movement. They see momentum. They feel like, there's something, they're missing something. And they step into, a situation that really never, structured to begin with. So before we even talk about, trades, we need to understand what the system is actually looking for. That's my system, guys. Building offensive structure. Okay, so when we say structure, we're not just talking about lines on a chart. We're talking about behavior. Structure is when the market starts organizing itself, and you're gonna really recognize that more and more and more as you see what not to trade. It'll bring out what to trade. It's amazing how you just click this transformation when this curriculum really starts helping you. It respects the level. It reacts consistently, and it shows intention. Without structure, price is just drifting. And drifting markets don't give you targets. They don't give you money. They take money. If you don't have a target, you don't have a trade. Basically, that's it. So keep that in mind. A lot of that's really important. So we're gonna into participation. Now let's talk about participation a little bit. You'll see candles form, all the time, but not all candles carry weight. A single candle can, look strong, but strength is improvement in just one move. Strength is proven in continuation. This is why one candle doesn't make a move. You need follow through, consistency, and commitment from the market. When you see two candles and you've got your first solid body candle and you get a second one that's got, just a half the wick is like, half the size of the body. Well, that's a weak kind of candle. You got to read the market like a sentence. When you see a strong body candle, another strong body candle, that's when I normally get in, especially if I'm on top of range. I've got structure, I've got my double tap or bottom tap. That is an ideal time to get in when you get that strong second body with no wick. It's one of my entry points, and it's been very successful going forward, especially having all other port keys lined up. A plus system, we'll talk about a little later on in the video. So if that continuation isn't there, then what you saw wasn't participation. It was just a spike. Remember about these spikes, liquidity spikes, stop spikes. Learn about that in videos going forward and how really cruel and devastating algorithms can be to your little bit of capital on the market. So this is one of the most, okay, it's just moving. So we're going to location now. This is one of the most important parts of offense. It's almost most ignored too as well. Where you are in the market matters, just as much as what the market is doing. At the top of range, of course, it's already moved. The bottom of range, it's already moved. But in the middle, there's no advantage. You're in no man's land. That's what I call it. Because from the middle, price can go either direction. Even if you have a good double tap or a good double bottom, you'll see that wow, it just broke out instead of, giving my second leg of my double tap or, something of that nature. So when price, can go either direction, you don't have control. You don't have an edge, and we want that edge when we're trading that B plus and A plus system. That trade. So confirmation, guys. Now this is where offense becomes execution. As I talked about the two candles before, we don't enter because we think something is about to happen. We enter because something already started happening. Once again, started happening and proved it can continue. Now that's really where your edge comes in because you're proving that, hey, we've got volume, we've got continuation, we've got solid buyer or solid seller control. That first strong candle, that's the signal. But the second candle pause, that's the market agreeing. And that's where your entry window begins, right there, guys. And believe me, you don't want to get in at the end of a window because at night, the markets don't move very far unless there's some really strong headlines, giving it the power to do so. Macro headlines or whatever the case may be, strong China, strong Asian output or strong European output. And you'll see that on the market. But you just want to be conscientious of that and your entry point. When you combine those pieces, you got the structure, you got participation, you got location, you got confirmation. You're no longer guessing. You're going in with the laws of probability. You're going with market probability and market sentiment, and actually you're going with direction and purpose and targets and range. You're observing behavior and stepping in when that behavior becomes consistent. And that's where logging your trades comes in and being able to look back and say, wow, that one worked well. Oh, here's that same situation. Bam, I'm in. All right, we got a 4x out of that. I don't have to trade for the next couple of days because I'm walking away with $800,000, $900,000. Okay, so the playbook. This is an insertion I put in, and this is something that I really think will be helpful going forward, and I really implicated into my strategy. The playbook, how often it changes with conditions. And this is going to tell you, kind of what you're looking at night opposed to during the day. And this is so important because trading at night is just like night and day, like they call it. You'll see that after a while. And now this is where we need to slow things down a little bit for a second. Because everything we just talked about, they don't behave the same way in every environment. Of course, day versus night. During the day, you have volume, you have participation, you have multiple opportunities. You'll often get clean moves, clear continuation, and multiple targets. Um, so during the day, puts just more room to operate, and you can really count on follow throughs a little bit more than you can at night. In other words, um, you can count on more often a second leg or a third leg in a trade when you see a huge double bottom and you see a breakout range. You can count on that hitting that range a lot more during the day than you can at night. So pullbacks begin to have more weight in your decision of staying in for that second or third leg and hitting those. That's where the dollar signs really come in. So, but at night, everything changes, guys. Volume drops, okay? Participation becomes inconsistent, and most importantly, the market starts giving you multiple, and it stops giving you multiple opportunities. And I call it the one move rule. On most nights, especially low volatility nights, you're not getting 5 trades. You're getting maybe one move, usually somewhere around 7:30 to 9 o'clock, sometimes a little bit later. And if you miss it, you're just chasing it then. But the beauty part of it is if you can catch the first leg of it, we're talking about what happens in low volatility situations. So low volatility truth is, this is critical to understand in the low volatility environments. Most moves get given back. Keep that in mind. Most moves get given retraced or given back because there is no follow through. Not always, but often enough that it matters. And it does retrace itself. And that's algorithmic, and you want to watch for that, folks. And we're going to be keying on that. And we're going to be going through how to identify these slow drifts and these kind of patterns, that retrace themselves and are very, very likely to give back 40, 60, 70% of what they dished out. So price pushes, but there's no follow through, as we talked about. And that's the market rotates back, and it rotates back, it retraces. So confirmation gets strict at night, very strict. And this is where discipline tightens. During the day, you can work with momentum earlier. But at night, you need more proof, and I need more proof. And you should require more proof for your trade because you will get stopped out consistently on liquidity sweeps and stop pushes that we'll explain in a later video, but are very important to understand because institutions, and they will smack you with these liquidity sweeps, and they hit hard when they hit. Just right down the line to the entry points of where that trade might have started. They will go on that 90% of the time and nail you. So you're not entering on a single push. You're entering on a quick. You're not entering on a quick spike either. You're waiting for a clear level, a real reaction, and continuation that actually holds. And if it doesn't hold, it doesn't qualify, guys. Please get that in your head because I don't want to see you guys bleeding accounts out when the system is designed to keep you away from trades that only, follow through 10, 15, 20, 30% of the time, which can be extremely detrimental to your win rate. So, location at night. At night, location is important. It's everything, guys. Because when volatility is low, the only real edge you have is where you are in the range. Okay? Top of the range with rejection matters, and of course, bottom of the range. Mid range at night, very hard. Very hard, even if you've got a good setup, double tap, bottom tap, golden star, hammer. it really is hard to miss those traps and try to get around those traps. And that's why I go with that one move at night, because more often than not, you're going to see one solid move going up and then retracing back down, or vice versa. So keep that in mind about those traps at night, because they can really drain you fast. Now let's talk about targets. During the day, targets, can extend, but at night, you have to respect the environment. Once again, we talked about low volatility and high volatility, control and no control. You're looking for a controlled move, a defined push, and often a return. Return, retracing, coming back. If you miss the first part of the move, relax, relax. Wait for that rejection to form or that continuation. And a lot, 9 times or not, I won't do continuations in low voltage environments, because one of my sayings is, if there's no volume, there is no participation, it can reverse on a dime really easily. And you're going to see that, how you said, wow, I could have got in there, and then that just reversed, and you're like, oh my gosh, I really saved a lot of money. Wow, this system really saved me. So move don't just fail, they retrace. Once again, we talked about them giving it back up again. So now your thinking changes. You're not just asking, is this a setup? You're asking, what environment am I in? Is this sustainable? Is this likely to rotate back? Okay. So back to the core flow, guys. We're going to go to edge of performance. This is where, this is where the results come from. Not from predicting the market, but from filtering out everything that doesn't meet your requirements, your criteria, your conditions. Because once you remove low quality trades, you don't need a high win rate. You just need a controlled one. And that's going to make all the difference when you understand that you can't win every trade and losses are expected, but you have to go ahead and regulate your losses. And it's easy. It's easier said than done, trust me, because impulsive, it's our human nature. When you have AI, cold hard facts staring you in the face, it gets easier and easier to say, wow, that just saved me. Okay, understanding is one thing, but following it is another. You're going to see movement that looks good, but doesn't fully qualify. And that's where offense is decided. Not in the trades you take, but in the trades you refuse. So, this is what offense really is. And this is where we introduce something important. I call it the grading system. And because not all trades are equal. And once you start grading your setups, your results start to change right away. Mine did. Went from 30s to 40s to 60s and 70s overnight. And I was like, wow, this is powerful. I've got to get this out. And this is me back testing my offense. And this is what I'm sticking with and going forward with, because it's proven to work. It's brought up 4 different $400 accounts to the point of $2,000. And that's my scale up. I'm going to bring this 327 to 2,000, and then I'm going to start scaling up to 2 and 3 contracts, and we're going to really start showing you how to grow a small account into something that can possibly sustain an income if you're disciplined enough. So an A+ setup is everything aligned, guys. It's your structure, your location, participation, and confirmation. Top of range or bottom of range. That's where your best trades come from. And you get those consistently. Just think about how your win rate comes up, because you're not taking the garbage that you saw the day before just a minute ago, and all of a sudden an A+ setup forms, and wow, you say, dang, that $600 trade was worth more than that $30 I was going for over there. That's where your difference is going to come in. That's where you're going to start making a difference in your trading, and that's where your account grows. So B+ setup might still be missing a small piece. Still structured, still tradable, but not perfect. And anything below that I would grade a C, D, even a B-, that's where most traders lose money. And I see that. I saw that in my prior accounts, and I blew, and this all comes from experience, okay? That's not opportunity. That's noise, guys. And the more you shift towards A+ setups, the more consistency improves. So you're still going to lose trades. That's part of it. That's just part of this. You got to accept it. But your losses become smaller, more controlled, and expected. And your wins come from quality, not from quantity, but quality trades, holding them through and getting to know when to hold a trade and when not to, when to get out. So when you say it isn't, when I say it isn't about speed, it's not about aggression, and it's definitely not about consistent action. This is what I mean. It's about being selective. It's about recognizing quality, and it's about only participating when the market actually meets your standards and criteria. So there are no guarantees in this, guys. There's no guarantees. But if you follow this process correctly, you will make better decisions. You will be a better trader. This curriculum is designed to progress you and to not be sustained on the system, to go ahead and trade. I no longer need the system for entries. I use it for continuation basically now. Yes, I can divide them in where it's an A plus or B plus setup, and definitely. But this API with micro news and everything else is amazing for $25 a month. Everything you're seeing here, I had to learn and build over time. Um, through studying behavior, structure, and repetition, this system started, to make sense. It started really showing results. This curriculum is here to give you that same path, okay? Not to promise outcomes, but to give you the tools to develop your own understanding, your own discipline, and your own consistency. And trust me, it can happen. So it's patience, it's recognition, and participation only when the market proves itself to you. Once again, you don't go to the market comes to you. Once again, it's been a pleasure. It's been a slice. I hope you guys get something out of this. First 100 subscribers, hit me on my PBS Outlook. I'll have it in the description. And first 100 subscribers will get this software, and I will help you write, set it up, everything, get it working for you, get you on board with how this helps your trading and how the curriculum from the 13 videos is so important to watch and correlate with what you just heard here. And going forward, we are going to simplify and really give you an understanding, a better understanding of how to apply the system to market rules and laws and behavior and algorithm. Have a blessed day, guys. Master patience, discipline, and you'll be blessed. Have a blessed day. Peace out. Peace, peace.